You've seen Psycho. You've seen Silence of the Lambs. But what about the films that time forgot? The ones that explored true killers before true crime was even a genre. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Mr. Smithee, where cinema isn't just about stories, but the echoes they leave behind. These are the overlooked masterpieces, chilling, complex, and often more human than the legends we remember. We begin with 10, Rillington Place, 1971, directed by Richard Fleischer. It tells the story of John Christie, a seemingly ordinary man who murdered women in post-war London. Richard Attenborough plays him with unnerving calm, while John Hurt's tragic performance reminds us how easily the innocent can be condemned. This isn't a thriller. It's a quiet, suffocating descent into evil's banality. A few years earlier, The Boston Strangler, 1968, explored the real-life murders attributed to Albert DeSalvo. Tony Curtis, cast against type, delivers a haunting, fractured performance that blurs identity and sanity. Director Richard Fleischer again experiments with split screens and fractured editing, reflecting a nation's growing paranoia. Both films prove that the scariest killers don't scream. They whisper. By the late 80s, the idea of the American monster had changed. In Rampage, 1987, William Friedkin examines the legal and moral chaos following a series of murders inspired by real spree killer Richard Chase. It's less about violence, more about justice, and the fragile line between madness and accountability. Few saw it, even fewer remember it, but it's one of Friedkin's most unsettling films. Across the Ocean, in Roberto, Succo, 2001, French director Cedric Kahn tells the story of a young Italian murderer who drifts through Europe like a ghost. Stefano Cassetti's performance is hypnotic, cold, almost angelic. The film isn't interested in why he kills, but in the eerie silence of his existence. It's less about crime and more about alienation in modern Europe. From France, we move to Japan. Vengeance is Mine, 1979, is based on the crimes of Akira Nishiguchi, a con man turned murderer. Director Shoei Imamura approaches the story like an autopsy of the human soul. He's not looking for answers, only patterns, the ways greed, lust, and pride spiral into violence. It's brutal, patient, and disturbingly philosophical. Then, there's Landru, 1963, by Claude Chabrol, a darkly ironic take on the real-life Bluebeard of Paris, who murdered widows for profit during World War I. Charles Denner plays him as a bourgeois monster, polite, educated, and horrifyingly civilized. Chabrol turns murder into social satire, because sometimes evil wears a tie and speaks softly. In At Close Range, 1986, James Foley adapts the crimes of Bruce Johnston Sr., leader of a rural crime family. Sean Penn and Christopher Walken embody the father-son power struggle, loyalty and violence intertwined. It's a family drama dressed as a crime story, where love becomes control and rebellion leads to tragedy. The real terror isn't the murders, it's the silence between them. Then there's Summer of Sam, 1999, directed by Spike Lee. Rather than focusing on the son of Sam himself, the film captures New York's feverish paranoia during the killings. It's loud, sweaty, and electric, a portrait of a city on the edge. Lee isn't chasing the killer. He's chasing how fear spreads faster than bullets. Even Alfred Hitchcock had his hidden killer. In Frenzy, 1972, he returned to London for a grim, unflinching story of a man wrongly accused while the real murderer walks free. The movie follows a murderer who strangles women with neckties. While fictional, the story draws heavily from Britain's real nightmares, the Jack the Ripper legend and the 1940s John Christie murders that shocked Rillington Place. Unlike the elegant suspense of Psycho or Rear Window, Frenzy is raw, earthy, and disturbingly intimate. Hitchcock stripped away glamour to expose the rot beneath polite society, a world where the killer isn't a monster in the shadows, but a man who blends in. Claire Denis took a different path in I Can't Sleep, 1994, loosely inspired by the granny killer murders in Paris. Her focus isn't the crimes themselves, but the spaces they inhabit. Immigrants, lovers, loneliness. It's sensual, strange, and quietly terrifying. A film about how evil coexists with tenderness. And finally, two forgotten classics. Robert Siodmak's The Devil Strikes at Night, 1957, made in post-war Germany, follows a detective uncovering a serial killer amid Nazi bureaucracy. It's not just about crime. It's about moral blindness under dictatorship. A courageous film for its time. And then, Charlie Chaplin's Monsieur Verdoux, 1947. Yes, Chaplin. A comedy about a man who marries and murders women for money. Inspired by French killer Henri Desire Landru, Chaplin transformed horror into social critique, calling murder a business like any other. It's the most daring anti-capitalist statement ever smuggled into dark comedy. These films never became box office hits. They didn't define genres or inspire franchises, but they dared to look directly into the abyss decades before audiences were ready. Together, they form the secret history of true crime in cinema. The quiet corners where filmmakers studied evil not to sensationalize it, but to understand its roots. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mr. Smithee. And check out Part 1, the best movies inspired by real serial killers, for the stories that shaped our idea of cinematic evil. Because the real horror of cinema is how easily we recognize ourselves in its monsters.